Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, welcome back. Welcome to Cloud and DevOps Batch 58. So before I start the session, I just want to give you a quick recap on what's being covered in the previous session. Previous session, we have automated the whole configuration management of our Ansible, but there are some caveats. What are those caveats? So let's try to talk about this. Okay. So for example, if there are any passwords, okay, so in our case, we are using roles, and within the roles, if you look at this, so we are using the passwords hard coded, right? But this is not a great way. If you go to the back end, in the back end, you can see here we are not hard coding. We are hard coding the passwords, which is pretty bad. Okay, so which is pretty bad. Okay, but again, supplying it from the command line is also not a great idea. Okay, in case if you land into a situation where secrets has to be hard coded like this, in that case, what we can do is we can get rid of it. Instead, what we can do is we can encrypt it. Okay, how can we encrypt it? Okay, let me try to show you that. Okay, for example, if you go here, lsf-r cat. Okay, so for example, uh, do all right. Now, if you look at this world, I do not want it whenever you land into a situation like this, okay? Because the reason why secrets should not be hard coded is if secrets are hard coded, everyone know what is the password, and the password is BSC2553, which is not good. That's the reason what we typically do is if you are using Ansible, you can encrypt that string. Okay, how can you do that? Okay, so Ansible vault. Okay, mm, encrypt hyphen help. So I'm interested about encrypting a string. So I think encrypt string option is there. So what I'm gonna do is I'll come here, help. Now it tells you can encrypt it by using a password. Okay. So what I would like to do, I would like to encrypt this. Okay. What I would like to encrypt is I would like to encrypt this. Again, space is also an extra character. Ensure you don't include it. I would like to encrypt it. Now to encrypt this, you need to have a password. I'm entering password as password. Okay, ensure. So what you need to do is you need to copy this. This whole set of string is an encrypted version of the main password. Now what I would like to do is I would like to place it here. Instead of this, I'm gonna paste it. That's all. Okay. Now what will happen? Now what will happen? So whenever you run the playbook, okay, you need to supply the password for decryption. That means there is a string which is used to encrypt the password to a encrypted string. To decrypt that, you should have a password. It's just like locking the room with a key. To unlock it, you should have a key. What I'm gonna do, I'll come here. Okay, I'll come here and I'll try to supply it, and I would like to do a GP. No, do. Now, can you see this? Now, nowhere you can see the password. Now, if you try to run this, okay, Ansible hyphen playbook hyphen I localhost, comma. Okay, if I just try to say 009, see what will happen. Okay, there is no, okay, all right. Uh, I'm gonna just keep it as localhost for now because all of my instances were not live. All right. Now it gathers the facts. Attempting to decrypt the password and it is a failure. Why? Why? Because this is a playbook that has a user that has an encrypted string. So you need to ask how to run the password. So how can you do that? Okay, how can you do that? So for that, you need to use what you need to do is ask what password. This is a string. If you use this, no, ask vault password. Okay, this is the right word. Instead of password, I just use hyphen ask not wallet. It's vault. Okay. Now it's asking the password. When I enter the password, now the playbook will be executed. Okay. That means you are passing the encrypted string and decrypted it during the runtime. But this is not a reality, by the way. Okay. But let me enclose the instructions. Okay. Do you have Gopi in the call? Uh, Gopi. Okay. He has asked a similar question. So let me explain that. Okay. So here, um, Ansible Vault. Okay. What helps you in encrypting the string and supplying it in a format that's not plain text? Okay. So how can I encrypt the string? Okay. So we can do it by using the command Ansible. Okay. Here is how you can encrypt it. Ansible-vault. Okay, Ansible-vault is a command to generate an encrypted string. Okay, you can encrypt, but if you forget the password, that means your string is lost forever. Okay, encrypt string and ABC at 123. Now it gives you this gives the encrypted string. Ensure you supply the password, and you would use for decryption as well. Okay, this is very important. And now enclose this encrypted string in the playbook. Now to run this playbook that has encrypted string, we need to supply the password for the encrypted string using the hyphen ask vault password. Okay, so if you want to know that, Ansible hyphen playbook. Okay, hyphen ask vault. Enter the prompt. Okay, so if you lose the password, well, this we cannot decrypt it forever. Okay, this is the important point. But there is a, caveat here. Okay, so in reality, in organizations, we don't just use one tool. Before I proceed further, anyone has any questions? I want to take a pause. Anyone has any questions? Can you hear me, by the way? Anyone who can confirm me, am I audible or not? Anyone? Is my audio audible? Shailaja?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am. Audible.
All right. Are we clear so far?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. But there is a caveat here. Okay. Ansible Vault is not a reality. Okay. If you're working in an on-prem based environment or a data center based environment where you're just using Ansible, nothing else, which is not a reality, by the way. So in that case, using it makes sense. Okay. So for example, you take, for instance, okay. So for example, you take it. Okay. This is in your organization, you use a lot of tools, by the way. It's not just one tool anytime. Okay. It will never be anytime. Okay. So for example, you'd be using Terraform. Okay. And you'd also be using Jenkins. Okay. And you'd be using Argo and Argo CD. You would use Go CD. Okay. And you would also use Kubernetes. And you'd end up using Ansible as well, right? Okay. But if you use Ansible, okay, Ansible Secret Manager can only work for Ansible, not for anything else. This is quite important. Okay. Yes, if you increase Ansible secret. Okay. If you are encrypting the secrets using Ansible, okay, only Ansible can understand. For rest of them, it is Latin. Okay. All I mean to say was you use multiple colors. Okay. If you use Ansible, only. Okay. If you use this, okay. If you use Ansible Secret Manager, you can use only Ansible can decrypt the secrets, but your Jenkins cannot make it. Your Terraform cannot make it. Again, if you use Terraform, you also use secrets. If you use Jenkins, if you don't know what the purpose of these tools, that's totally fine. All I mean to say is you use a lot of tools. Okay. And end of the day, you'll also end up using K8s. Okay. But if you use these many tools, Ansible cannot work because Ansible can only read the encrypted passwords that are used with the Ansible command. But for other commands, if they are also using any secrets, obviously they would be. So in that case, it will not work, right? So, and it is quite zero to unlikely that in any organizations, you just don't see one tool. You use a lot of tools. End of that, it is an ecosystem, right? So typically we use centralized secret management solutions. Okay, so which is widely used, one of the most widely used tool is HashiCorp Vault. Okay, or AWS Secret Manager, which in our case. Okay, so if you use these tools, they work for any tool. You encrypt the secret, okay, and place it here. Any of your tools can read and write. Okay, this way you don't have to rebuild the solutions multiple times. Okay, that is what I wish to say. Clear? So which one sounds good to you? Using one tool that is just for Ansible or use a tool that fits for all? Which one is optimal as per your understanding so far? Which one is good? Secret management at scale. Is it clear, guys? Is it clear? Am I audible? Rachit, Ravi, Sagar, Srilata? Guys, come on, speak. Okay, if you don't speak, I don't get the motivation.
Yes, Manoj, it is clear.
Appreciate your response, team. Okay, please respond when I'm asking. I mean that you're following up or not. That is the importance of paying. Okay, so just make sure you follow that. All right. With that, we are good. But I still have a reservation. There is no UI so far, right? For all our jobs, answer, task, there is no UI so far. UI is very important. Okay, you can use Ansible Tower for Ansible UI for UI, but Tower can be useful only for Ansible. Again, you would be using Terraform, you would be using Docker, you would be using Kubernetes, a lot of things you would be doing it, right? But if you go with Ansible Tower, it offers UI only for one job, not for everything. So in that case, you need to have a solution that works for everything. How can we get that UI? How can we get that UI? Okay, the answer for that is, okay, we use some tools. You might think, let's use Jenkins, available tools. Or deployments. Okay, you might think Jenkins. Okay, Jenkins is not really meant for this purpose. Its main goal is CI. Okay, so we have tools like GoCD. Okay, this is a continuous deployment tool. Okay, so this works for servers as well. Okay, in Kubernetes, there is a tool called as Argo CD. Okay, this is exclusively for well, Kubernetes deployments and don't work at server level. Okay, now I have used three different words. Okay, I have used three different words: CI versus CD versus CD. Let's talk about it. CI stands for continuous integration. Stands for, it can be continuous deployments. Okay, so continuous delivery is a joke, by the way. Okay, we'll talk about these things soon. So usually in the industry, okay, I could see a couple of messages. Monica, by the way, did you catch up with what's being covered so far? Were you clear with what's being covered so far, Monica?
Yeah, Manoj. Actually, last video I didn't watch. Otherwise, I watch all the video.
Okay, perfect. You're clear, right? What's going on so far?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's really a good thing. Okay.
Mm.
And guys, usually in the beginning of the demo, I have not committed for Go CD and Argo CD, but deployment tools are widely used and widely adopted in the industry, I thought let me include them as well. Okay, but this gonna cost me 1 or 2 weeks of extra time. Hope you guys are okay. Okay, these are something that I have not committed, but I am voluntarily adding these two topics. Okay, so please make sure you consider this as a request that I have added few more topics. Okay, because outside in the industry, deployment tools like Spinnaker, Argo CD are widely used. I would like to use it. Okay, so let's try to understand what is continuous integration. Okay, continuous integration. What do you mean by continuous integration? So typically, back in days, how deployment used to work is back in days. Okay, back in days, how software development works. Okay, so typically back in days, developers used to develop the whole product. Okay, then they used to build the package. Package is nothing but the binary. Okay, for any product, binary is the end product because we don't distribute the code to the end users. Okay, if you want to download and install VLC player, which is a software, you download the .exe file. If you want to install any sort of application or your Android phone, you download an APK file from the Android, right? These are the binaries. You might think, hey, software developers write the code, right? Why the hell do they distribute the binary? Binary is nothing but zeros and one. Okay, so the reason is no one wants to share their code. They spend millions of dollars in developing it, right? They don't share it. Okay, why software companies always distribute customers? Let's see what A says. There is no incentive. It takes time and money to ensure that they are not releasing the proprietary code that you don't own. Okay, so why software companies distribute binaries instead of code? Okay, so software companies primarily distribute the binary code or the executable file rather than the source code to the customers for several reasons. Trade secrets. See, for example, Google's trade secret is the backend code that helps in during the search. So why the hell do they need to share the code to you, right? And for example, if they do the reverse engineering using your trade secrets, they make their own products, right? So that is the reason no software company will never release the code unless until it is a open source project. Okay. Likewise, even for the projects that we are going to build, we are going to generate the binary of the product for the code that the developers has written. Okay. Then they use the code to to distribute. This is called as a binary. Okay. So just like how plain text is stored on plain text. 1 second. Plain text. Okay, plain text code is shared on Git, which is a version control system. Similarly, binaries in the organizations are also stored on artifact repositories or binary repositories, and the popular are Nexus or Artifactory. Both of them are same. I mean, when they say same, they does the same thing. Okay, Git is for plain text version control system, saving the code in a version controlled format. Likewise, this binaries are stored using on the top of Nexus or Artifact. Now you can ask me, can't I store my artifacts on the top of Git? You can, but no one does that because that is not meant for purpose. If you ask me, can I travel from Kanyakumari to Kashmir on cycle? Yes, you can, but cycle is not just created to travel long distances. Okay, instead you prefer a four-wheeler or a two-wheeler bike, right? A motorcycle. So likewise, we typically write the code and distribute the code. Okay, and for each and every updates that we make a version. For example, Windows 7, Windows 7.1, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10. Again, in Windows 10, we have Enterprise Edition, Windows 10 Home Edition, Windows 11 Enterprise Edition, Windows 11 Home Edition. Okay, likewise, a lot of editions are there, and these editions are referred as a versions, right? And what is the difference between each and every version? In few versions, you get some features, and few versions you don't get the feature. If there are any bugs in any of the version, they release a service pack, right? So back in day, okay, so developers used to develop the whole product, then they used to build the product at the end, Okay. And then they used to test that. Then they used to the bugs or issues, and then they used to resolve it. And it used to take a lot of time. Okay, so typically how it works. Okay, this is what back in days it used to work. Okay, but through this effort, the time taken to identify the bug, see, in sprint one, in a in a 10 days of time, you develop a feature and that has 1000 lines of code, and week two and week three you have developed 2000 more lines of code, and in month two you have developed 10,000 lines of code, and like that you have developed 1 million lines of code. And if you want to test the 1 million lines of code, it's a never ending process and it takes a lot of time. That's the reason almost all the companies, rather than they developing the code in as a whole, they develop it as a multiple iterations. Okay, so what is continuous integration? Okay, this is a terminology that is introduced. Almost all the software companies, including Amazon, Google, Facebook, all the FAANG companies, every small company uses the approach. So continuous integration is a software development practice that automates the process of integration of code. That means whatever the changes that the developer has made, immediately automatically test the code, immediately deploy the code and get the result. So that whatever the code that the developer has done on 1st of June, he gets the result of that in the same day, right after 10 to 15 minutes, so that you don't have to wait till the deployment of the product. Okay, so from multiple contributors, it is the best practice in DevOps that allows the developers to frequently merge the code. That means frequently contribute the code in the central repository where the build has to run. Okay, let's see what Amazon says. Continuous integration is a DevOps software development practice where developers regularly merge the code changes into the central repository rather than contributing the code at the end of the product delivery, and after which continuous builds and tests are run. So when you commit something, that means when you share something, okay, it should meet the test cases that are written by the developer. Okay, so if a product has to do something, like when someone sends a message on WhatsApp, one tick has to come when the end user has not turned on the internet. And if the end user has turned on the internet, he should get a double tick. And if the user has seen the message, a blue tick should come. But if the end user has turned off the privacy, saying that others should not see whether he has read the message or not, then they should not enable the blue ticks. Okay, clear? So that's the main. Okay, continuous integration more often refers to the build or the integration stages of the software release and entails both an automation component. Okay, so that the users will come to know the gaps or the improvements then and there itself. Okay, so why CI, it is also referred as continuous integration, is needed. In the past, developers on a team might work in an isolation for an extended period of time. Okay, developers on a team might work in an isolation for an extended period of time and then contribute the changes to the master branch. Okay, once the change was completed, this made their merging difficult and time consuming and results in bugs, I told you, accumulating them for a longer time for resolution. Okay, how does it work? Let me tell you that. So typically in any software development process, so when a developer contributes the code, how it works, let me try to tell you that. Okay, so the developer, okay, commits a code. There's a git. Let's assume git. Okay, end of the day, everyone has to commit the code to the git. Let's assume he's a developer. Okay, uh, Okay, this guy, he wrote the code and then they developed the code. Okay, typically once the code is developed, okay, what it typically it has to happen is it has to happen some security checks. Code security checks for quality. Okay, so it should be like, okay, the code should not be having the secrets. Okay, as per the standard operating procedure. Okay, code should never have secrets. Okay, okay, bad coding standards. Used. Okay, and second thing, prohibited methods should not be used. Okay, coverage of the code. Okay, okay, so coverage of the code and all of them should be covered. So these things can be done by a manual guy, but every day the same guy looking into the same code thousands of times, and you have 100 developers and 100 developers will push the code 100 times, and you cannot have 20-30 team who can monitor the code and manually saying that, hey, your code quality checks have passed and you're good to proceed. No, that cannot be done that way. If they are that way, every time the developer must make some changes, it's gonna take a lot of time for him to get the result. Okay, if someone commits the code, I want code security check should be in place. Okay, and for that there are some tools. SonarQube is a very popular tool in that space. We can use that. The moment someone develops the code and publish the code security checks automatically happen for the quality. Okay, that is a very basic. And if the code quality checks are qualified, then I want to make a build. As I told you, build is a procedure of software development methodology to generate the artifacts. Okay, building artifacts. Okay, building artifact is an end product of any software. Okay, artifact is the end product of any software that you are building, and this is the software we are going to use. And once this building of packages is completed, now what we want to do is we want to run some test cases. Okay, there are some test cases. Okay, again there are some testing standards. Again, in the testing there are 3 varieties of testings. Again, technically it depends on the organization, but I would like to code. Unit testing. And that means the code that is developed by the developer. Okay, for example, there is a concept called as a test-driven development. Typically in backend days, QA used to write the test cases, but now the developers have to write the test cases. Okay, so why they need test cases? Okay, whatever the modules that are the, if there is a repository called as a payment and there is an application called as a payment application, and it's not just like one developer who write the code. Okay, there are hundreds of developers who contribute to that repository. Okay, so for that, it's not the recommended way to do that. Then what is the right way? Okay, then what is the right way? So whatever the code as a developer, whatever the code that I have written should have the test cases to test that module. For example, I have developed a module called as Flipkart. Okay, so I have developed a module called as Flipkart. So in that UI, okay, I am writing this particular piece of code. Okay, login. That means if I write the feature of login, I should know it should show these many options. Okay, back in days, okay, QA manually used to check, okay, whether this option is working or not, whether this option is working or not, whether this option is working or not. They used to check manually whether this button is working or not, whether this sign up is working or not, all these things. Okay, assume Manoj, who has developed the login feature, it is his responsibility to include the test cases within the code. That is called as unit testing. Okay, now I have written this login feature, and Shailaja has written the cart feature, and become seller feature has been developed by the Grisha. And likewise, lot of features are developed by a lot of engineers, and everyone will write their own test cases, and those independent test cases are called as unit testing. Okay, that defines whether your product is whether that particular feature is working or not. Okay, but on a whole, when you assemble these products, okay, so it's not like no one cares whether you have developed it correct or not. It people really care whether when you integrate the whole code, whether it is working or not. Such type of code is called as integration testing. And next type of code is a functional testing. As a product, okay, what are the goals that I have kept, whether it is meeting or not. Typically functional testing will be written by the developer. Again, end of the day, all of them is a code, and you as a DevOps or a cloud engineer, you never write them, and it's not your job. Okay, there are some commands that triggers that. That's it. Okay, for you, you just need to care whether it is in place or not. That's all. Rest you really don't care. Okay, so again, there are a lot of technologies to do that. And once it is completed, you are going to build the code. Okay, build is completed, and this is the testing. And once testing is completed, the next thing is we need to, okay, again, there is a lot of things that are involved, but I'm not talking about all of them. Okay, we'll mark a release. Okay, tag a release. That means whatever the software that was built, okay, because if you want to ask a QA, or if you want to ask someone, hey, test this version, test this software, that should have a version, right? Okay, so I'm going to tag that. And then once the tagging is completed, I would like to publish the artifact. Okay, because it's not just you in the organization who is going to use it, right? A lot of people in the organization are going to use it. Agree or not? So for that, okay, and for that, we need to have an artifactory, okay, binary repository. In our case, we use Nexus. Okay, and we need to upload it this product into this one. And on a whole, this process is called as a continuous integration. Every time a developer commits the code, okay, every time a developer commits the code, I want all of this action should happen one by one, one by one, one by one, one by one. Back in days, okay, security checks would be done by a separate team, build will be done by the build team, and testing would be done by the QA team. Everything is manual. That means today morning, 9 o'clock, if I commit the code, for me to know whether the code is working or not, if things are manual, I would get these responses almost 1 to 2 days later, because multiple teams are involved. Testing, so code quality check will be done by a separate team, build will be done by a separate team, testing will be done by the separate team, and uploads of the data to artifact will be done by the separate team. This process is a painful task, by the way, but it used to be manual. With the DevOps coming into picture, with the concept of continuous integration, and it was doable. Every day, thousands of builds, okay, thousands of softwares will be released through this continuous process. Okay, Jenkins is a tool which is created for this purpose. Okay, Jenkins is a tool that is created for this purpose. Then, Manoj, okay, everything is good, but how about the deployment? How about the deployment? Deployment is nothing but releasing the software that we have made into the environment. So in our case, again, I told you an environment. What do you mean by environment? Okay, so again, you have multiple environments, right? We have multiple environments. There are some checks and balances that have to be done. For example, this is a development environment. Dev is always green. QA is little serious guy. And stage is red because Okay, done. So typically how it works is, okay, so this is the pattern. Okay, so the moment, okay, usually people what they say is, okay, the moment a software is released into the Nexus, okay, immediately, okay, it has to go to the development environment, and once testing is completed in the development environment, it has to be released into the QA automatically, and once testing is done automatically, it has to be deployed to stage, and once it is completed, it has to go to the release production. This process of automatically deploying the environment from one environment to another environment automatically, this is called as a continuous delivery. Okay, and this is a joke, by the way. Okay, there are a lot of people who claims that they have achieved the continuous delivery. Again, in my 13 years of career, 12 years of career, I never seen any company using continuous delivery. That means a developer commit the code and automatically ships it to dev, QA stage, all the way to prod. They might achieve till QA, but automatically achieving till prod is a joke. Okay, I have not seen any. I mean, it's not even a joke, is not the right word. Okay, Netflix claims that they have done this. Okay, Netflix, is Netflix doing, because Netflix has thousands of microservices, they make hundreds of releases per day. Okay, is Netflix really? Okay, okay, how did Netflix, let's ask Gemini. Okay, continuous deployment is a process where you release the software to dev, okay, and then if it is good, then make a deployment to QA manually, I mean through the job, and then if it is working good, then you take it here, and then if it is working good, do the performance testing, and then raise a change request asking everyone's permission, then deploy it. This is called as a continuous delivery, by the way. Okay, this is called the continuous deployment, by the way. But continuous delivery, people who claim, and again, you hear the most, I mean, sorry to use this word, uh, you see this mostly how to do the continuous deployment. Okay, tell to your company that, okay, in interview saying that when someone in my company, we develop the code and we push it automatically, it deploys till production. Never say that. People will never believe. That's a joke, by the way. Okay. So if you ask this, Netflix is a prime example of a company that has successfully implemented the continuous delivery. They have been at the forefront of adopting DevOps practices and leveraging cloud technology to achieve rapid, reliable, and frequent growth of releases. Okay, so key factors supporting the Netflix deployment: Spinnaker. It's a very popular tool, by the way. Okay, but it's popular for using Kubernetes-based deployments. Okay, so yeah, so continuous deployment. Yeah. So it's a continuous delivery. Okay, continuous deployment is like automatically deploy everything that passes the deployment to the production, and there is no human intervention. And continuous delivery automates the build, test, and release the process to make software deployment at any time. Requires manual approval before deploying to the production. Yeah. Okay. So continuous deployment is a joke. We target to achieve continuous delivery, but continuous deployment is, human intervention is always needed. Okay, but if you want to do the continuous deployment, okay, continuous delivery, okay, using the Jenkins, okay, so CI here, you tell something, it happens all the way to the end continuously. But I do not want, if I make a deployment, I don't want deployment to happen on dev, QA, stage, prod automatically. No, I need to have one job that has the capability to do the deployment across the board post approval. Okay, so here I want certain things. I want some checks and balances. Okay, I need to have some approvals. I need to have some approvals here. Okay, if something is deployed to dev, And after I manually say deploy it, it has to go to the next environment. I do not want simply when I say his all the way to production. No, I don't want that. I can't afford. Okay. My business, my customers are highly reliable on the top of reliability. Okay. So I do not want to go through that pattern. Okay, so that's the reason I do not want to go through this. So to achieve this, okay, again, we use Jenkins for continuous integration to build the software, and to release the software, we do not use Jenkins. Okay, but again, don't quote me. A lot of companies still use Jenkins for doing the deployments. So I do not want to talk about that, but we'll try to see which is best, which is highly used. Okay, clear? Now you got the difference between continuous integration versus continuous delivery versus continuous deployment. Are we clear so far? Okay. So in CI, there are no pause points. In CD, there are no pause points. Okay. In CI, that means you say something, it does that. That's all. Okay. So, but for CD pipeline, pause points are needed. Okay. That means I just gonna say, okay, will be done. Okay. Only if dev is completed and if it is qualified, then I go and say, hey, go ahead and deploy. Then only it will be deployed. Okay.
क्या अभी से लगा दो 7 दिन हो गए आधे घंटे से 7:30 बजे लगा 7:30 बजे आते लगा पानी दे आपको तो
Sagar, please go on mute. Thank you. Okay. Now here I want to release it to the stage only if QA is completed. Likewise, I want to do this only if stage is completed. When I say stage is completed, I am satisfied as per the standards. Then only I want to proceed. Okay. This is what I want. Okay. Are we clear with what we want to do? Okay. Clear or not? See, in reality, things go by approval. I can easily do the things with Jenkins saying that okay, we can do that. I can bring up the UI, but that's not the reality, by the way. So that's the reason I'm a little concerned about going with that approach. Okay, but things keep on change, so I'm just want to go with what is being highly used, though it takes time. Okay, clear? Any questions so far?
Yes, Manoj, hello.
Yes, Rajit.
So a tag tag a release means we will define a version, right? The
Exactly. Exactly.
update
Yes.
version 1.2,
Version 8, version
1.3.
9, version 11, like that.
Okay, okay.
Version 8,
And the
I release it to QA, it was not qualified. I'll discard it. I'll make one more release. Version 10, it's tested on dev, QA qualified stage, and it is a
so
load test qualified. Then 10 is a qualifier. I'll mark it as stable. Then I'll deploy to prod. Likewise.
okay, so this will be for like as update or service pack, right? Since
Again, service
original
pack
code
is not
main
a open source word. Service pack is a word that is used by Windows. Okay, don't use
nee,
that service pack. Okay. Service
uh,
pack, typically that
yes.
means it's a patch in Windows terminology. Okay, that's not a
Okay,
right
okay.
wording. But if you
Yes,
understand that it is a patch level, that's fine. But just trying to correct you.
yes. And Nexus will collect the artifact, functional artifact of this, right?
What do you mean
Nexus.
by non-functional artifact then? I mean, I really don't understand what you mean by functional artifact. So just trying to catch up.
Non-functional,
I
non-functional,
mean,
we
you're
can
you're
say the
asking.
code
Mhm.
quality artifact that is non-functional, we can say. what is code quality? That is, we collect the artifact
No,
sonar
no,
queue.
I'm clear. I'm referring
Yes,
about the functional nexus. You said I'm not catching it the word. We develop
functional
every
means
software which is
yes.
qualified everything. So code see, if the code quality is not qualified, we don't even make a build. We'll discard here itself. If the integration testing is not qualified, then I don't even tag a release. Then the job will fail here itself. Now again, developer has to check the integrity checks between what is being not qualifying. Then again, they have to redo the whole process.
So what Nexus? What will do actually? I want to know
Okay.
Nexus. Yes.
What Git does. But did you read this? What Git does?
Okay. It will convert in
Okay,
binaries.
hold on. First, were you there from the beginning of the session?
No, actually, yes. I joined from beginning actually.
I think we discussed one point, right? Why
Yes.
companies don't generate or distribute the plain text code, rather why they generate binary code or why they share the exe code, AXE, right? Rather than sharing the code to the end users.
Yes. Yes. You explain. Yes.
What is the reason
Uh,
for that?
no, actually, they have spent millions of dollars to develop
Exactly.
this code, so they will not share the original source code
Exactly.
actually.
Instead, what they do,
So they make the build actually for this.
okay?
Uh,
What do you mean by build?
yes.
What is a build? What
So
build
it will
gives you?
convert into binaries to original code.
Exactly. And then you got the binary. So where are you going to store that binary? You spend millions of dollars for that. Obviously, you have to store it. So where are you going to store it?
Store
Where
means
are I mean, you are spending millions of dollars to
yes.
write code. You're paying a lot of salaries to the user, to the engineers, and they're writing the code. Where you are storing the code?
They will
GitHub.
GitHub, Git.
private GitHub.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
GitHub repository.
But
Yes.
how about the binaries that the developers are generating as a part of the code? You need to have something, right? So Git is to store the code. Likewise, Nexus is to store the binaries.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
you're clear?
Okay. Got it. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That
Nexus
is,
is a
these are
tool.
accessible. These are accessible to all public users. Binaries, we can say.
No, no. In
Okay.
companies, nothing is exposed to the internet. Okay.
Yes. 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 Got it.
Because everything is intranet. It's only within the internet. Only within. I could see, Monica, what is binaries image? Binary image is nothing but when you generate a software, okay? Typically, developers write the code like Java using Go, but they don't distribute the code to end users. Instead, they generate an artifact like a binary file, okay? Then they distribute the code. All right?
Yes. Got it.
All right. Yeah, Monica, go ahead.
So binary is nothing but we can say image, right? After build whatever we are getting, that is image.
But again, you can call that, but end of the day, that image is also binary, right?
Yeah, binary only.
Yes, you're right, but it's a binary. So I'm calling
Hmm.
in a raw word.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
So an access is nothing but
A tool,
whatever binary in
a tool,
image whatever created, we are like
storing it.
managing that. Okay,
Exactly.
there only.
Git is a version control system for code. Similarly, for binaries, version control system is Nexus. That's all.
Huh. Yeah.
Okay. So that means, okay, the reason why we do not want to go with a continuous integration to like Jenkins to do the deployment or the configuration management. Uh, I mean, Jenkins, you can do through Jenkins, but Jenkins is a legacy tool that is created for the purpose of continuous integration. Okay, through Jenkins, we really cannot pause the deployments and it's not designed for that purpose. Okay, that's where the CD tools comes up into picture. CD tools. Okay, CD tools comes up into picture, and in that, okay, the famous tools are, a lot of tools are there, Argo CD, but this is created only for the Kubernetes. But in our case, we are not at Kubernetes yet, so I would like to go with Go CD. Okay, GoCD is also a very good product from ThoughtWorks. I have used this tool multiple times. I like that, so I would like to use this. Okay, so if you ask me, are you going to use both? Till the time we get the Kubernetes, we'll use GoCD. Once we get the Kubernetes, we'll use Argo CD. Okay, these are the deployment tools. Okay, that's where the CD tools comes up into picture. Argo CD is a very ultra modern tool, but that works only for the Kubernetes. So in the interim, I'll be using with the GoCD. Okay. Again, if you ask me, GoCD is widely used or not, I don't say. The reason why I am using GoCD is because I know that. Okay. But all the Go series works the same way. But if you ask me, is Argo CD widely used? The answer is yes. Okay. If you ask me, Go series widely used? The answer is no. It is not widely used, but it is a popular tool. Okay. But it is an open source. Since I know the tool, we need to have something, so I'm using it. Okay. So Go CD. All right. So Go CD is a open source. Go CD is a okay. It's a free and open source CI/CD server. But again, CI, these are people don't use it for CI. Okay, easily model and visualize complex Go CD. Okay, you can use it. Documentation, not documentation. Okay, this is one of the widely used features. So let's try to understand this, what it can do. So end-to-end visualization, you can see at what stage it is in. It is cloud native deployments and complex. It has the capability to do a lot of things. GoCD integrates with many popular external tools and services via extensible value, and it has a very good community support. So we would like to go with this. And it is a product from the ThoughtWorks. And ThoughtWorks is a company who has introduced the concept of DevOps, who has introduced the concept of DevOps. So I have high respect for that company, and they publish a lot of white papers on how to achieve the best practices. So keeping that in mind, we are going to use this. Okay, it is a product from ThoughtWorks, so we would be using it. All right, clear? Vikram, any questions? All right. So again, how this CD tools work is also something we need to understand. How GoCD works. Let's try to understand. GoCD is a master node architecture. Let's try to understand the architecture, how this GoCD works. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a server. Okay. And we are going to install GoCD on the top of it. Okay. This is a server, GoCD server. Okay. Now, all the jobs, all of them are going to be created here. Jobs will be created here. Okay. But they are not going to be running here. It acts like a manager. Okay. So where it's going to run these jobs, okay, it's going to run in multiple nodes. As per your business, you can create multiple things, right? So for example, okay, node 1, you can have multiple nodes, node 2 and node 3. Okay, let's use different colors. Okay, so you can tell GoCD where the jobs has to be running. You can ask me why the jobs won't be running on the top of the GoCD, rather why nodes are there. Okay, the reason why they are created like this is okay because deployments are quite important in organizations. If you ask me, can't my Argo server run the jobs on the top of this? Yes, they can. But typically, if you the main reason why servers go for a crash, why servers go for a restart, or why servers run out of resources is because if you keep on scheduling all the jobs on the top of these servers, if out of 100 jobs, if one of the job is faulty and if the job has a bug and if it eats up the entire resources, your system goes for a toss. Okay, that kills the entire server, right? That is the reason we decouple the things. Okay, so typically what in organizations we do is for example, if they are Python jobs, okay, so whatever the things that are needed to run the Python jobs, for example, I have Python jobs, Java jobs, and Go jobs. And whatever the things that are needed for my Python jobs, I install all the softwares on the top of this. Okay, I want a Python, Boto. Okay,
Ninu karo.
Monica, can you go on mute? Yeah, so Core 3, okay, Ansible. I want to install all these tools here. But on the Node 2, I just want Java jobs. Okay, I just want to run Java jobs. And for that, I would like to install JRE. Okay, and I also want to install okay, Java 17. Okay, apart from that, I'm not going to install any other tools. Okay, likewise, I also want to run Go jobs. Okay, so Go language. So for that, I will be installing Go. Okay, so based on the technology, you can revise, or if the same CD tool is being used by multiple teams or multiple BUs. Okay, so payment team, I want all the jobs of payment should be running on the top of the node one. I want all the jobs that belong to the catalog should be running on the top of the catalog. You can do that. Okay, now I want all the jobs that are related to the cart should be executed here. Okay, even this how you can categorize it. Okay, but in training I cannot afford these many nodes, so what I am going to do is I'll create a server in lab. In lab, how am I going to do is I'll create a server in lab. Okay, I'll create a server. Okay, and on all these nodes you need to install a software. It's called as a GoCD agent. Okay, install GoCD agent. And it's not like a Ansible, which is agentless. GoCD agent has to be installed. And you also need to tell who is the master. Okay. All right. That's all. Now in the lab, we are going to create a server and we'll install GoCD on the top of it. Okay, we'll go through the documentation and then we'll install it accordingly. Okay, and then we'll create, we have a workstation node, right, where Ansible is installed. This is our workstation node and where Ansible is installed, and underneath that I'll be installing, okay, GoCD agent. Okay, and again I want to run the Ansible jobs, so Ansible is already installed on it. Okay, and we also need to tell to our workstation who is Ansible. Okay, this is how, okay, and this is going to make the deployments for all the environments. Okay, so and this is what it is going to make the deployments. Okay, this is the strategy. Okay, first, okay, whether how you do it is a second thing, but you should have a very better clarity on the strategy. What is the strategy that we are going to follow is a very important thing. Very, 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 very important thing. Are we clear? If yes, we'll proceed. I'll go with ground basics, okay? Because continuous deployment tools are widely used in the industry. I really don't want to miss it. Are we clear? Again, I can directly go with these things, but just making sure we are on the same page. Clear, guys? Any questions, anyone? I'm going to take a pause to take up any questions if anyone has. Any questions, anyone? Can someone please confirm me, is my audio audible?
Yes, Manoj, audible.
Okay, all right. Any questions so far? Are we clear? Are we clear?
Yes, Manoj, we are clear.
All right, perfect. So let's try to create, okay, first let's go to the documentation and try to understand what is needed. Okay, uh, first let's go to the documentation. Go to the documentation download and Windows, Mac, Yum. Okay, I know when you go with this Yum based edition, okay, there are some challenges. This works well till CentOS 8. Okay, there are some challenges I noticed. So I just want to go with the direct download version of it. Okay, this is something I am interested in, and it is released quite recent only, August 4th. So I'm okay with that. Okay, August 4, 2024. This is quite recent, so I just want to use this option. Okay, so what you can do is you can just select this, but if you do this, it is going to download it on your local, which I don't want. Okay, so and even before that, just try to understand system requirements. This is very important. Okay, so you're using a software of 24.3.0. Whenever you're using any software, version is very important. For this version to work, what are the requirements? Okay, so client browser requirements, no, I'm not interested. General requirements for both agent and server. So either it should be Windows, Mac, Debian, CentOS, Red Hat, or Ubuntu. In our case, we are using Ubuntu or Red Hat. In our case, we are using Red Hat. CentOS 8 or 8 plus. Okay, we are using 8 plus and Java dependency and Go CD server requirements. Minimum you need to have 1 GB RAM and minimum 1 GB but 2 GB is recommended. CPU minimum 2 cores is needed. Disk minimum 1 GB is free space. Okay, this is one requirement. But agent requirement is minimum 128 RAM, 256 MB core, okay, 2 gigahertz of core. That's fine. So that's fine. So 2 CPU, 2 gigs of memory. So let's go with the creation of, okay, let's go with the creation of t3.small. Okay, so let me update my template. Okay, because we are using t3.micro, I would like to go with t3.small. Modify the template. I really don't want to go with the t3.micro. T3.micro, 2 CPU and 1 gig of memory, but t3.small, 2 CPUs and 2 gigs of memory. Okay, so let's go with that. Create a template. And again, in template, every time you create a version, okay, every time you update a value, a new version will be created. So the latest available version is 2, but the default version is 1. So I have to change the template version as well. Okay, set the default version as 2. That means 2 has the changes that you made. Now what I want is I just want to launch an instance, and I would like to name that instance as proceed without key pair. All right. So my server is created. Now let's try to install it. Okay, I'll go manual by the way. Okay, so go cd Okay, now question in the before. So Rachit, why do okay, what do you mean by a master node architecture or master agent architecture in GoCD? What is the purpose of it? Can you help me understand that? Vikram, are you interested to answer? What is agent and
Y-
master architecture?
Yes, actually, multiple jobs will run on single server. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if any jobs crashes, suppose 100 jobs are running,
Mm-hmm.
so it will impact complete servers and all 100 services. So
Exactly.
we are distributing the services according to category of jobs, types of
Exactly.
job, or a team of according
That's
to
a
team.
very well said. Yes, you're right. Okay.
Yes.
We cannot afford anything we cannot afford the downtime in organizations. That's the reason we always try to avoid the single point of failure. So how can we avoid the single point of failure? Okay. We can do that by decoupling the things. Okay. That's the main idea. All right. This is called as a decoupling. All right. So let's try to do it. Let's do it. So for that, first, I think my server is ready. I'm gonna go to my Go CD. All right. Okay. Sudo set hyphen host name. Okay. All right. Now just download the software. Okay. So there are two softwares, agent software and server software. So first I would like to go with a agent server software. It's a zip file, by the way. So wget is a command to download that. So you download that. And also if you look at this, the system requirements, okay, it also says requirements were clear. Java, Argo CD installers except for, okay, all Argo CD installers except for generic zip installer bundle with an appropriate version of the JRE. Hence, you do not need to install Java separately to run a Go CD server or agent. But if you want to install a specific JRE, this version of Go CD requires, okay, JRE version 17 and above. Okay, all right, and supported tools, Git is supported, and Java is also something it's needed. Okay, all right, so it says Java 17 and above. All right, so first let me write, go ahead and type Java. Java is not there, so sudo dnf list grep for Java. Okay, again, the advantage with the DNF is you can find the list of packages that are available for you. But I am interested about it clearly says, okay, you need JDK above, Java 17 and above. Okay, I want to go with the JDK 7 dot above. Let's wait. So as I mentioned, Java is a must, so ensure you have it installed. Let's do it. Okay, so there are these many. If you look at this, these many varieties of Javas are there, but I am interested about Java 17, okay, and above. Okay, Let me go with OpenJDK 7 x86. Java 17 OpenJDK x86. Okay, this is the version that I am interested about. Again, I can come with a script, okay, but I just want to be a little organic, okay. Sudo dnf install, okay, Java 17 OpenJDK -y. So it's going to install the JDK, let it install. Seems like I'm not audible, not sure why. Vikram, can you speak? I cannot hear you if you're speaking.
You're audible, Manoj.
All right, thank you. Okay. Okay, done. We have it installed. Now just go and say type Java. Perfect. Java hyphen version. Okay, 17 version is installed. Perfect. Now the next thing is df-h. Ensure you have enough store space. And if you look at this, I have a lot of storage that is available. So it should be fine. Okay, I don't have to worry about it because I have enough space. Okay, so I total have, okay, size is 6 GB, 2.5 GB, 3.6 GB is utilized. NSP, okay. Okay, all right. So I have the needed disk. Okay, so minimum for IGB disk is needed, free -m. Okay, so 1506 MB is available memory. So that's also fine. Now create a user. Okay, sudo user add go. Okay, always ensure you create a user account for any sort of operations because I want this to be executed as a go user. Okay, now sudo su hyphen. Okay. Okay, done. Sudo su hyphen go. Now I just want to run this. Just download this. I just want to unzip it. Okay. Now it has unzipped. Okay. Okay, mkdir go cd. Create a directory called as go cd pwd. Okay, now mv go hyphen this to go cd. Okay, so that means all the data that is related to the go cd server will be inside the go cd server. Okay, this is what I want. All right. And the next thing I can come up with a short script, but just to making sure you have everything. And again, this is a third party service, right? You don't have the system control. Okay. If you go inside this, you won't have any sort of what do you call whatever is needed. Okay, but I want to rename this go cd. It doesn't sound good to me. I'm just renaming it. Okay, so cd to go. And if you see, there are some softwares. Okay, so if you want to know how to start, how to stop, okay, this is available in the documentation itself. Okay, where can you find that? Generic zip, right? If you want to start, this is the process. If you want to stop, this is the process. If you want to restart, and this is the process. That means you just need to enter into ls-ltr of bin. Okay, you have all the needed things. Okay, so but I don't want to go with this pattern. Instead, I just want to go with a service. Okay, so if you look into I made a tool for it, by the way. It's already in place. Okay, you can copy this. Okay, what it does is it's going to create whatever is needed for you. Okay. All right, so what you can do is you can copy this. Okay, so copy this and you can paste it in GoCD server. Okay, so all the services, I think we have already done this. I'm not explaining it. So exit from here. Okay, sudo su hyphen sudo su hyphen. Okay, vim cd xe system d system go cd hyphen service. Go cd hyphen server dot service. Okay, and if you want to start or stop, this will be the name of the service. Okay, cd xe system d system. There is something called the multi user targets. Cd xe vim go cd. That's it. Home go cd and I think I named it as this one, right? That's all. And the name of the user is go cd. Okay, now cat. Okay, this is how you create your own file. And after that, just check whether this file is there or not. This is very important. Okay, it says there is no such file. Why? That's very important. cd to home go cd. Oh, what is the user account that I have created? Go. Okay, username is go. Hmm. Vim go. It's not go cd. It's not go server. I mean, user account is go, right? Okay. Still, why? Cd to go cd, go server. Okay, the path is this. Go cd, go server, bin. Okay, go cd, go server, bin. Okay, this is the path. Exit. Okay, this is the path. Home, go cd. Home, go cd. Okay. Home, go cd. Okay. That's all. Get the file. So read it. Why? Go server kodo. That's all. That's it. Now make an LSF and LTR of this. Okay. Now what else do you have? That's all. You have it. Now what I want to do is I just want to see whether it is starting or not. Sudo no systemctl daemon -reload. When you make any changes inside the X system D, ensure you restart. Okay, clear? And the name of the service is GoCD. Okay, so this is the server. Sudo systemctl status. Okay, ensure you. Okay, it failed. Okay, system control status GoCD. Okay, what is the reason for it? Hmm. uh, 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 uh. Okay, ls-ltr home go. Oh, okay. These objects are owned by Go. Okay, everything is owned by Go. Then why it's not starting? Sudo systemctl start. Okay, again it is failing for some reason. We'll see that in tomorrow's session. Okay, maybe I'll come up with a script. Okay, I really don't want to do through a manual approach. Okay, I'll come up with a script. Okay, but yeah, this is a concept, but we just lost some amount of time. But tomorrow if we come, we'll just come here and I'll directly do it. Okay, that's the agenda behind it, and I think it should work. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's for today, and hope today's session is interesting. So make sure you catch up with what we are trying to do. Okay, so this is very important. We were talking things at scale. Okay, how things work at scale. This is very important. Please ensure you practice them and be up to the mark. Okay, so for some reason it's not working, but I'll just figure it out. I do not want to waste time, and also people are saying I'm clocking more time, and I'm sorry for that. So yeah, that's it. That's for today. Any questions, anyone? Any questions? Any questions, anyone? Any questions, anyone? And also one more thing, the user is Go CD, right? It is Go. This is another mistake I made. I have created a user Go and I'm calling it as a Go CD, which is a blunder, right? Also, when you're a root user, you really don't have to use sudo. It should work as far as I know. If not, we'll see that in tomorrow's session. Okay, that's it. Come on. Wonderful. Perfect. It's working. Sudo netstat Okay. And if you look at this, which port it is working on. Okay, just started. Okay, but yeah, we'll see that in tomorrow's session. We are already 5 minutes on the top of the schedule. That's it. Okay, so we are going to implement things in an approach that is close to the standard scale approach. Okay, and we'll see rest of the topics in tomorrow. Okay, GoCD is also a very upcoming. I mean, it has a good capability, so we'll see that. Okay, that's it. That's for today. If anyone has any questions, you can stay on. If not, we are good. All right, that's it. That's for today, and we're gonna meet tomorrow. Thank you. Signing off.